Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TTLIY podcast, where we chat about realistic leadership theories. I know we haven't been on for a while, but hey, we're back and we're good with so much good hot topics. For the next four series, we're focusing on young people, youth. Youth is the now. I always say that youth are not the future, youth are the now, and they are doing amazing things. I am so happy to have Jelise Keating with us, who is from Future North, who is doing amazing work. I'm gonna welcome her. Jelise, welcome to the new podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing well. Excited for this podcast. As usual, I'm always looking forward to speaking with you.
Oh, it's always good to speak with you too, Jelise. Jelise and I met at the Tamarack Institute's conference. It's the city's building youth futures, and I'm so happy that we're connected. Your energy and passion for young people and for the work that you do is admiring, and I must say that I appreciate you. You're awesome, and I hope that we are going to do some amazing work together. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, today's conversation is going to be about youth empowerment of systems. There's so much areas of where we could take this conversation, but I like to go with a defining and a definition as we go into the context of this conversation. So can you give us like your personal definition of youth empowerment and also your personal definition of systems when it comes down to young people?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So, youth empowerment for me means creating a space in which youth voices are heard and youth are gaining the knowledge that they are required to have in order to further themselves and better their lives. For systems can be a lot of things. Systems are governmental, systems are mental, physical. There are a lot of different systems. So when empowering youth in any system that's currently um, creating uh, any kind of policy or mandate or procedure in which they have to navigate through, it's important that they have the knowledge on how to do so, but also how
Yeah,
to create changes for themselves that actually benefit their future.
right. Right, right. Do you feel that youth are treated well?
That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question, and you can take it into any context. Like just hearing you speak about youth's knowledge, and because youth they have a lot of knowledge to give. They have a lot of expert experience. But do you feel that they are getting what out of society what they're supposed to be getting?
No, honestly, I don't. I think that there's a lot of barriers, red tape that are in front of
Yeah,
youth that stop them from getting what they're supposed to or stop them from getting where they're supposed to go. There's all
yeah,
these lines that we're supposed to follow, these guidelines that we're supposed to follow.
right,
There's all these directions. I find that the lives of youth are very streamlined. You have to do
yeah,
this. You have to do this. You have to get this done by this time point. You have to get this done by this time period. And now
yeah,
even youth our age, like people are like, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And it's
right,
like, do you see
right,
the
right,
market? Do
right,
you understand like
yeah,
interest? Who taught us about finances? Who taught us about debt? Who taught us about the education system and how to make it work for you? Like, there's a lot that youth don't learn earlier in life, and then they
right.
become adults with many regrets. And so it's really important that we stop creating these pathways that don't actually
Right.
work or benefit the youth. So I don't believe that they're treated very well.
Yeah, I totally agree with your statement when it comes down to some of the policies and the guidelines that we set up for young people, that stop them from dreaming big, and also you have a higher expectation, for young people to dream in a different direction and not following their passion,
Yeah.
and so a certain industries I would say for youth in film, youth in arts. sometimes are looked down and say that, oh, this is not an area you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on law. You should be
Yep,
focusing on teaching, education. So some of these systems and mentalities allows us not to think about
absolutely.
using our young people for their creative works and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, youth has their own strength, but if we keep playing them in boxes, we'll never actually get the future, the improved future that so many of our older generations are pushing for. They want to see improvement. They want to see things become a certain way, but what they're dreaming of is what they see for themselves, not what they know youth can actually change and create for the future.
Yeah. Boxing in youth.
Yeah.
We always boxing youth into so many contexts. Like we try to hold them back and we try to limit them from dreaming and stuff like that. A little bit about um how youth are boxed in, and describe some of that either by you sharing an example of maybe an experience that you have experienced as the youth, or maybe giving maybe some examples of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. The best question I've been asked this year was, do I believe that the youth voice is important,
Mm,
or is heard? And I said,
right.
yes, but only when a question is asked. Youth are
Yeah.
often only asked questions and given specific context, but
Yeah.
not allowed to explore other forms of working or being
Yeah.
or living. There's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot that maybe
Yeah.
someone has tried and failed, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that that person had it right or that
Yeah.
the way they tried it was wrong. It just means that it might not have been their time. It might not have been
Yeah.
something that they were passionate about. And I find there are so many youth that have amazing ideas. They're so far
Yeah.
ahead of where we are now in the way that they think, in the way that they speak. You can see it. And we try to fit them into specific contexts. We try to fit
Yeah.
their voice into a specific answer to a question that only one person has asked or only the adults are asking. And
Yeah.
oftentimes that boxes in even the way that they think. They give up on
Yeah.
their dreams. They give up on things
Yeah.
that they wanted to do. And I've been there. I wanted to start my
Yeah.
own business at 14. And I heard, no, that's not a good idea. You're too young. You don't know anything about
Right.
business. You need to go
Yeah.
to school first. Like, you need a backup
Yeah.
plan. Go get a degree. What if you
Yeah.
fail? But the reality of it is, if I had started then what I started now, I would have been much further ahead because I already had the
Yeah.
drive, I already had the passion. I
Yeah.
was the type of person I still am today that would go and get the knowledge. I was so
Right.
curious that I would want to learn more. I was hungry for knowledge
Yeah.
and understanding. And I feel like there are a lot of youth that are hungry and a lot of adults that are serving them empty plates and putting them in
Uh,
boxes and saying, "You gotta stay here. You don't know yet. You don't have the information yet. You're not there yet." But don't
wow.
understand that there are so many youth that have the capacity for it now, and we're
Right.
whittling that away, really breaking down what they're capable of and saying, "No, no, no. You don't fit there." Not understanding that they were never meant to be in a box in the first place.
Oh my goodness. I just love what you just said, especially the part where you say youth are hungry, but adult people are serving them empty plates. And that is such a true statement. Like, we look at when we use these ways, and I saw an article the other, I think it was the beginning of this year, that this is the year where youth should not be just using their voice for voluntary time.
Exactly.
Youth voices are supposed to be paid. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. At Future North, we wholeheartedly believe in paying our youth because it's not just, oh, they showed up and they're giving their time. You don't know what they
Yeah.
did to prepare for what you're asking them for. You don't know
Right.
if it cost them something to get to where they're going or if
Mhm.
they have a means of getting there. So paying youth for their
Mm,
time is essential. At Future North, we have a mandate. Youth ages 15 to 30 receive honorarium for their time because we
yeah,
understand that, first of all, the livable wage in Ontario is ridiculous. The
yeah,
posterity thing with inflation is going crazy.
yeah.
And now you expect a youth to come and work for you for free. How does that
Right,
help them get further? How does that help them get home if they needed to pay for a bus to get here or a taxi? Or
right.
how do you show them that they're actually of value and help them understand what their value is if you expect them
Mm-hmm.
to do everything for free?
Yeah, you can't expect young people. Young people, they have valuable assets. They have
Absolutely.
valuable experience. They have valuable lived experience that they are able to share in spaces that they should um be given an honorarium or some type of stipend for what they. I believe in volunteering and volunteering for young people. But at the end of the day, if you're using young people for their knowledge and for their worth, I feel like at least you can do is give them stop with the gift cards. Let's give them some money. Let's give them something. Yeah, well, like we say that there's other ways that we can give. Yes, gift cards is okay, but we need to actually show them that we really mean to them. Like I remember going to different events and also seeing conferences give me like up to $1,000 just for my 1 hour knowledge or
Right.
$2,000 just for my 2 hour knowledge. Like those is something that I wholeheartedly, but of course, some nonprofits and some organizations don't have the funding, so we kind of understand, we
Yeah.
sympathize with them, but at least some type of stipend that shows that you appreciate that young person is valuable, and you
Yeah.
should be doing that in your organization. Yeah,
Absolutely. And give them the choice. Give them the
yeah,
choice of honorarium or volunteer hours. That's what we do. We
yeah,
give them a choice. If you want to build up your volunteer hours, you haven't
yeah,
graduated high school yet, or it's mandatory for whatever degree you're doing in university that you have a specific amount of volunteer hours, you have that choice. So whether
yeah,
it's you're a young parent and this money goes to helping provide within your household, or you're just a youth that's living on your own, and this is a means of you making a little extra money, or
right,
it's I just need the hours, or I love volunteering
yeah,
and I'd like to collect the hours. Having the
right,
choice is
yeah.
important, and I think that we need to stop stripping choices away from youth.
Yeah. Stripping choices for sure, giving them a choice, giving them a voice. And this is where you say giving them a voice is allowing them to choose, not telling them, because so many times youth are told what to do instead of
Yep,
being asked, how do you feel about this? Is there something that we can adjust? Is there something that we could change in order to welcome you into the space that you are? And there's different demographic, different gender of young people sometimes that are mistreated and not welcome based on how they're brought up and stuff like that. So that's a whole different
exactly.
conversation that I will not get into. But when it comes down to youth empowerment, there's a saying that youth should be at the table.
Yeah,
And we hear that often. What does that mean to you that you should be at the table? But what does it mean from an actionable approach? That when they're at the table, what where does that come in? Now that they're at the table.
not ignoring what they say,
Yeah,
first thing. Actually hearing them, actually
yeah,
being transparent with them. If you can't
yeah,
afford to do that right now, say you can't afford it.
yeah,
Don't walk around the bush, because literally it's not
yeah,
even beating around at this point, it's a walk.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
walk around the bush and say, "Oh, that's a good idea," just to not actually think about how to put that idea into action. Don't
right,
take their
yeah,
idea and then not allow them to be a part of the actual, like, placement and the
yeah,
follow through of that idea. It's really
yeah,
important that when they're at the table, they're not going to be intimidated, that they're not going to feel
yeah,
as though they're going to be reprimanded for things that they say or questions that they ask. It's important that they feel equal,
yeah,
equal to the voices of adults that are around them. Because there's nothing
Yeah.
worse than being a youth at a table and then having an adult shut down not only your idea, but shut you down in a way that you don't wanna talk again at that table. Feeling like you don't have a space, that you're not
Yeah.
supposed to be at this table and you're just a token at the table. That's like the worst feeling in the world. So,
Yeah.
having equality at the table, having an understanding of language and being willing to share and educate and mentor, because you don't know. Sometimes adults are in need of mentors, and sometimes the mentor is a youth or what would be
Mm.
called a youth. There's so much
Yeah.
learning that can happen intergenerationally between our generation now that we're calling the future and those who no longer feel like they're the future.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much learning that can be passed not not down or up, but across that people
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
about. So when you throw at the
Yeah.
table, when they're actually at the table, be willing to listen,
Yeah.
hear what they have to
Yeah.
say, and be transparent about where it can go. If you don't think it's a good idea,
Mhm.
say you don't think it's a good idea. Tell them why.
Yeah.
Allow
See,
them
yeah.
the time to think about that and
Yeah.
formulate a better plan or create something on top of that plan that will actually make it actionable.
Yeah. I love that. Um, the equality of youth voices, the listening of youth voices, the sharing of giving them the opportunity. Don't bring down their passion. Like lift
Yeah.
them up, support them, and take them in the direction as you should as an elder, as you should as someone who is of seniority of the organization. You're there to guide them and to be there for them as they continue to allow that passion to spring forth. Um, this has been a good episode, and I know that we have another conversation together on a different topic. But what is a quote that you want to leave with our listening audience who are going to listen to this podcast? What do you have for us on a quote that's going to empower them?
Ooh, now I have some I have so many quotes around my room. I'm like, what would be a great quote? Hmm. Oh, yeah. This one. When it comes to youth, Erica Badu said you cannot judge people because they sin differently than you.
Mhm.
Don't judge a
Mm.
youth because they are living life differently than you did.
Oh,
Don't
wow.
judge them because you see mistakes that you made in your life and you think that they're going to make the same mistakes. Don't give up on them because
Yeah,
youth, we still need encouragement. We still need
yeah,
mentors. We still need all
yeah.
the things that you needed when you were growing up, or
Right.
now that you are growing up, you still need those things. And there are
Yeah,
going to be adults that are meant to try to guide you in a way that's going to benefit your life. Have the discernment to know the difference between someone who wants to see you fail and someone who wants to see you grow. Because
yeah,
people throwing dirt don't always mean to throw dirt to
yeah,
bury you. Sometimes they're
yeah,
throwing dirt to help you grow. Sometimes they're throwing nutrients. Sometimes they're
yeah,
throwing a soil that will help, your roots grow deeper before you grow out.
yeah.
So
Glory.
don't judge anybody. Just take everything that you hear either as a grain of salt or something you can build a foundation on to make yourself better.
That's so powerful. Jelise, thank you so much for this
Absolutely.
inspiring action. And I hope that the listening audience takes serious in this conversation and actually use what is being shared to help. And I would love for us to connect more in our next episode to learn more about Future North and the work that you're doing there as well. So, listening audience, thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next episode.
Bye.